My name is Stacy Gunther, and together with Gaëtan Mormont, who is our tech host for the session, I'm really delighted to welcome you to this one of the final sessions. Like I said, session 21, the Promising Dissertation Proposal Award presentation. So of course, we have only a few sessions after this. This whole colloquium has been put together by the MSR Research Committee, of which Gaëtan and I are members. So we're so happy to have you here and feeling so enriched by all the things that we've experienced. If you run into any tech issues during this session, please just send a direct message to Gaëtan through the chat. He's happy to help you however he can. And now I just want to introduce our host for this session, Judi Neal. And of course, Judi is a co-founder of MSR, former chair and a flamekeeper, and just all around awesome human being. And so Judi, I would just like to turn it over to you.
Yeah, so speaking of all around awesome beings, thank you, Stacy. You've been holding this space for quite a long time. You and your team, you're just fantastic. And I love the competency and the compassion and love that all of you have shown to all of us. So thank you for everything you're doing. So much prep went into this, everyone, and they really were intentional, this team, about making it a profound experience for people. Thank you. So I want to start, as we do with MSR meetings so often, is I want to start with, oh good, Aziz is here. I want to start with a song. We like to start with some kind of contemplative practice because when we come together, it is sacred space. And there's so much more to the world than we can see with our eyes and know with our senses. And our hearts are wonderful, wonderful instruments for sensing into that. And today we'll be listening to some pioneering scholars. And I've noticed in the sessions I've been in that almost every one of them says something about listening. And I'm going to share with you a song that is about one form of what I call spiritual listening, which is hearing the music in someone else's soul. So I invite you, as you listen to each of our presenters, to listen to the music of their souls as expressed through their research. The song is called Hearing the Music. Hearing the music, feeling the meaning, heart to heart, your message touches me, and I can feel it in my soul. I hear your words as melody, and I feel whole. Feeling you with me, sensing your spirit, hand to hand you walk beside me on the path that we both share. I see your light as a journey, and I know you're there. voice is music. Your words are poetry. With the gifts that you have given me, your love comes through so sweet and clear. And if I listen to your heart song, I feel your hopes and fears. Your voice is music. Your words are poetry. Music, poetry. Ooh. Take a moment of silence. Close your eyes if you wish, just to be in our space together. Have your heart touching the hearts of our presenters, and if you're a presenter, feel your heart touching those you're sharing with. And just rest in this heart space. Thank you so much. It is my great pleasure to be able to introduce you to today's recipients of the 2026 MSR Promising Dissertation Proposal Awards. And to let you know that we chose in MSR to do something a little different than most of the divisions. Oh, and thank you for all the love. Thank you. That we're with this award, several of us founded this, I think maybe 15, 20 years ago. And the concept of giving an award to a proposal rather than to a finished dissertation is two reasons. And one of those is I remember back when I was doing my proposals and feeling so uncertain about my work and about any kind of support that I might get. And I was thinking, later on, anybody who got awards, they get awards at the end. But if you could get an award at the early stage of your work, it's so affirming when we're in such a pioneering, leading edge field where we're just always on the cutting edge, and that's often hard to get accepted in traditional universities, traditional dissertation teams. And that this would mean a whole lot more in supporting people who are doing courageous work around management, spirituality, and religion. And the other thing is if you get a financial award at the end, that's not as helpful as when you're a starving student, like most of us have been or are. And so to get an award that helps financially in the early stages seemed to me much more meaningful. And in the beginning, Robert Ouimet, who was one of our beloved members, a CEO in Canada. He funded this in the beginning, and then later Lee Robbins helped fund it. And we got to the point in MSR where we could afford to fund these scholarships for people. And I do want to say and honor the committee that helped select the 4 recipients of the award this year, that it was very hard. All of the applications were really good. And so we had to have discussions about how to select the final 4. So I want to congratulate our recipients today and show you who they are and introduce them. I haven't talked to them about who's going to go first, so we're just going to let the bravest person jump in, or the scaredest person jump in if they want to get it over with. But let me introduce our 4 recipients. The first is Gahanna Rao, and her dissertation she's working on this topic of making spirituality work, a process study of workplace spirituality programs in Indian organizations. Our second recipient is Virginie Macé. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. And her topic is on releasing organizational energy in traumatized contexts towards a transformational resonance theory. Third, Vrinda Khattar, Sacred Paths, Sustainable Careers, an Ecosystem Approach to Studying How Spirituality Fuels Career Success Across the Lifespan. And last but definitely not least, Aziz Nur, Relational Pathways to Ego Transcendence, How Spiritually Grounded Developmental Networks, sorry for the typo there, supports post-conventional adult development of contemplative entrepreneurs. So we're very excited about having you share. Again, we'll have you each share for about 5 minutes, then we'll open it up for discussion. I particularly hope the discussion is not just questions for clarity, but that it also can be, stop sharing, that it also, if you have suggestions of literature or research sites or other forms of funding or whatever you might have, we would love for you to offer that to our outstanding scholars to support their dissertation work. So who would like to go first?
I think I can.
All right. Thank you, Gahanna. So we'll spotlight you, and the rest of us will fade into the background, and the floor is yours. And congratulations.
Thank you. Hello, namaste, everyone. Thank you so very much for this honor. I am deeply grateful, to receive this recognition. And I would especially like to thank my supervisor, my guide, Dr. Veena Vora, and the many others who have contributed to this journey. My dissertation is titled Making Spirituality Work, a process study of workplace spirituality programs in Indian organizations. So at its core, the study asks a simple but underexplored question. What happens when organizations try to make workplace spirituality part of formal organizational life? The starting point for this work is that organizations are extending support beyond conventional well-being initiatives towards questions of meaning, purpose, and inner development at work. My focus is on workplace spirituality programs that are deliberate, organization-sponsored initiatives that bring spiritual, contemplative, or moral traditions into organizational life. This is what makes them distinct from generic well-being interventions. They can be consequential for employees, but because they involve values and sometimes sacred or spiritual content, organizations must handle them with particular care around inclusion, voluntariness, and legitimacy. Existing research has shown that workplace spirituality is associated with meaningful work, connectedness, commitment, engagement, satisfaction, and well being. However, much of this work has studied workplace spirituality as an employee experience, an individual resource, or a static organizational climate. When workplace spirituality is formally sponsored by an organization, it becomes more than a personal experience. It becomes an organizational practice that has to find a place within existing systems, existing structures, and expectations. What remains less clear is how organizational actors, structures, practices, spaces, and everyday interactions shape workplace spirituality at the individual, group, and organization. So the gap is not simply whether workplace spirituality matters. The gap is organizational and process. How workplace spirituality moves from individual experience or isolated practice into formal organizational program, and why some programs become viable while others remain fragile, diluted, and many of them discontinued. India is a particularly generative context for studying this. Spiritual, contemplative, and moral repertoires are culturally familiar. But Indian workplaces are also very plural. They are performance driven and governed through formal HR systems. This makes India an important site for understanding how organizations sponsor inner development without coercion, sustain meaning without reducing it to just metrics, and navigate spiritual diversity within plural institutions. The completed pilot study sharpened this puzzle. It showed that workplace spirituality programs may run for several years and still remain fragile if they are not supported by stable ownership resources, governance, and integration into organization systems. When those supports change, programs can contract, dilute, or discontinue. This is why my dissertation studies how workplace spirituality programs are introduced, implemented, and sustained in Indian organizations, and how organizational actors, practices, and systems shape their lifestyle. In doing so, the study develops a dynamic temporal and interactional framework for analysis. In the first stage, that is introduction, the core challenge is legitimacy. Organizations have to explain why workplace spirituality programs belongs in the workplace at all. This often requires translating spiritual or contemplative practices into language that is acceptable within organizations. In the second stage, implementation, the core challenge is participation and feasibility. A program may be meaningful in principle, but employees still need real access, supportive work conditions, and assurance that participation is genuinely voluntary. This is where organizations must make the program realistically accessible within everyday work life. In the third stage, sustenance, the core challenge is continuity without loss of meaning. Workplace spirituality programs need ownership, resources, routines, and evaluation systems if they are to endure. But they also need to preserve their experiential and meaning based. The proposed main study will use a multiple case design in 2 to 3 Indian organizations, drawing on interviews, organizational documents to reconstruct how these programs evolve over time. The dissertation contributes in 3 ways. First, it contributes to MSR scholarship by shifting attention from workplace spirituality as an employee level perception to workplace spirituality as an organizationally constructed and ethically governed practice. Second, it contributes to institutional theory by examining how spiritually or morally infected content gains legitimacy, travels through organization systems, and becomes stabilized, adapted, or contested over time. Third, it contributes practically by helping HR leaders and organizational decision makers understand how workplace spirituality programs can move beyond symbolic or pilot stage
Okay, and
initiatives and become.
excuse me, we're at 5 minutes. So you don't have to stop right there. Finish your
Oh,
thought
okay.
and
Just a few more seconds.
sure.
Become inclusive, voluntary, credible, and sustainable organizational practice. The essential argument of my dissertation is that employee interest and experience matter deeply, but they are not enough to sustain workplace spirituality programs. They become organizationally viable when organizations build the conditions that allow such resources to remain meaningful, to remain accessible, and sustainable for both individuals and the organizations over time. More broadly, I hope this dissertation contributes to a more grounded and careful conversation about workplace spirituality. It studies workplace spirituality not only as a source of meaning and well being, but also as a practice shaped by pluralism, power, and organization system. Thank you again to the AOM MSR division for this recognition. It means a great deal to me. And I am honored to share this work with a community that takes seriously both the promise and the complexity of spirituality in organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Let's have everybody clap. You can turn off your mute button and okay, wait. 1, 2, 3. Turn off your sound. I mean, turn your mute off and let's. Thank you. Thank you. So, let me ask you, what kind of support do you think you would like to have from this community?
Um, Definitely the direction in which my research is going. Um, Definitely to maybe grant some kind of access to organizations which have, of course, that fit in the criteria of my sampling. And of course, definitely, I feel that in research, feedback and genuine feedback is very rare. Somebody who actually relates with our work and gives us genuine feedback is something that is really rare. And I really appreciate being part of this community where all of you can kind of wear a critical hat and tell me that Ghana, you have missed these are your blind spots and you've missed these things. So I would really appreciate
Thank you. Let's see. Other questions, comments, feedback? Please jump in. And also, those of you who also received the award, you are a part of this conversation, so jump in as well.
If I may, this is Ravi Chinta. Great work. Kudos to you. Except my quick feedback is a lot of your explanation refers to the process measures. And you're going to do an empirical data collection, which is a big part. I haven't heard any outcome measures. So be sure you have a section on what the outcome variables are. That's very, very important when you're trying to run regressions and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ravi, sir, for your feedback.
Did you want to say something about outcomes, Gahanna?
Yes, absolutely. So the study is a case study. We are going to have multiple case studies. So every case study will go through its own, process where we will have multiple stakeholders, multiple sources of data. We would also have the various organizational documents, participation documents that are there. So, it is kind of like a mesh that is created, and each one of those sources are going to provide insights that will then get into our conceptual model, and I think that is how we go. So the elaborate document that I have sent, I think it also includes all the outcomes that I'm going to.
I was going to say that if you're interested in mentoring, we have set up a mentoring group. You can contact Anil Mashwashi or Vineet, and the whole idea behind this is to line up emerging scholars with senior scholars that might give you the kind of feedback that you're looking for.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I would definitely reach out to them.
Great.
I also, in the chat, I added a couple of documents that I created with a Fetzer Institute grant. One of them is an annotated list of companies and organizations that have workplace spirituality programs, mostly in the US. I think there are some in India. I don't remember now because it's been a while since I did that. But for all of you scholars, if that's a useful document, check it out. Sometimes these programs don't last. Often they don't. So this is not up to date, but it might be a place to start. And then I also had done a pretty extensive workplace spirituality bibliography with just like a 1-paragraph annotation. It is also not up to date, but it might be something, particularly around the seminal research, could be helpful to you. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for the mentor forms. We got one more minute if there's another comment or question for Gahanna.
Yeah, Gahanna, congratulations to you and to your supervisor. Veena is a good friend. Your research is quite interesting, but it is just multiple case studies. I think you need to work towards creating some knowledge, theory building or something. If you need help, you can get in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Radha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radha. Anything else? Gahanna, would you like to say a 30-second closing for your work right now? Anything else you'd like to share with us?
As a practitioner, so I'm associated with the art of living, and I'm a faculty with the art of living, and I've been practicing Sudarshan Kriya Yoga for many, many years now, I think since I was very young. And I feel that our individual spiritual experiences do reflect in our work and do reflect in the choices that we make of the studies that interest us, the studies that we want to pursue. And it is also one of the insight that has come out from my pilot study that a lot of leaders who themselves have gone through spiritual transformation, they extend it to their employees.
Yeah.
So I would really like to emphasize as a community that, you know, continuing our spiritual journey also helps us grow a lot as a researcher, and that has been my experience.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's clear that this work is part of your spiritual journey. So thank you for being with us. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you for this.
We're glad you're here. Who would like to go next?
I can continue. Virginie
Okay, thank you.
speaking. Yes. So I'm very happy to be here with you, and thank you very much for this recognition. Thank you to the MSR community for welcoming this work. My name is Virginie Macé, and I'm a doctoral candidate at University Paris Panthéon-Assas within the MSR Research Laboratory under the supervision of Professor Catherine Voynet-Fourboul, who I thanks a lot for her support. My dissertation started from a practical paradox observed across an organizational company with transforming a lot. And my dissertation is about organization marked by crisis or restructuring transformation initiative, and they often multiply transformation without being able to make the change durable. And collective energy remains trapped into routines of caution and defensive compliance. At the same time, even authentic and meaning-oriented leaders fail to release this energy. This led me to a central research question: under what conditions can organizational energy blocked by collective trauma be released through the quality of leadership? To address this question, I am developing what I call transformational resonance theory, or TRT. So the TRT approach the spiritual leadership as an inner and relational orientation, cultivating coherence, shared meaning, and responsibility towards the common good. The model of the TRT proposes 3 movements. The first movement is the traumatic freezing, which explains how unresolved collective shock may produce defensive routines such as contraction of voice and sustained vigilance in relationship. The second movement of the TRT is activation. It proposes that transformation begins when leaders embody coherence between discourse and relational practice, reducing the perceived relation cost of participation. And the third movement of TRT is collective elevation. It suggests that durable transformations occurs only when cooperative interactions become stabilized into organizational routines rather than depending on individual actors. Regarding the methodology, the research adopts an abductive, qualitative approach based on a triangulation across three main sources. The first one is longitudinal participant observation over 13 years in an industrial company who have a big trauma like restructuration. And the second source of data is analytical autoethnography. And the third source is external interviews. So this is a triangulation who permit to goes to the TRT. And the dissertation also proposed boundary conditions under which meaning-oriented leadership may fail, including symbolic disqualification and procedural reabsorption. So I would especially welcome conversation with you, with the MSR community, who are working on organizational trauma, spiritual leadership, organizational culture, organizational energy, and qualitative theory building.
Oh, did we lose her? Oh, there you are.
She's back.
Kind of looked like you froze for a minute. But sometimes mine freezes, so I don't know if it's me or you. Thank you so much and congratulations. Again,
Thank
let's
you
give
very much.
Virginie, give her some applause, whether you do it virtually or with your hands. We're so proud of you. Thank you. And it's such a cutting edge.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, to be looking at trauma and energy at the same time. I mean, that just feels so spiritual to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with your work. Let's open it up to other people who want to make comments or questions. Please jump in. You don't have to raise your hand. Well, Gaetan's got his hands up. Go ahead, Gaetan.
Bienvenue. So I'll be super happy to
Can you highlight yourself, Gaetan?
Yeah, I like myself.
Sure. Undo me and updo you. Okay.
That's a lot of work, you know.
No,
Just
you're
kidding.
right. Never mind.
Well, I think it's absolutely fascinating. It's the first time I'm hearing the word organizational energy. So I'm fascinated by this. I'm doing a lot of energy healing on the side, and I'm also a grounded theorist, so théorie enracinée. So those are two expertise, or at least I have a little bit of experience in those. So I'll be very happy to discuss with you if you need anything.
With pleasure. I will be very happy to get your feedback, and I can share more about this.
Thank
With
you.
pleasure. Thank you very much, Gaëtan.
Yeah, I'd like to share that years ago, I worked for Honeywell in organizational development, and the divisions, we had a whole lot of divisions that met several times a year with all the people in organizational development. And just about everybody was openly spiritual. And so we created a monthly meeting by phone. We didn't have Zoom back then. There was an organizational healing group. And what people did was, and I would love to see research on something like this, we would, each time somebody would bring a problem that was going on in their organizations, might be morale, might be financial, some kind of conflict. And then all of us in our own practice, whether it was prayer or visualization or whatever it might be, we sent energy to that particular division with that particular problem. We had no way of measuring whether there was a result of that, But when I saw the title of your dissertation proposal, it was like it brought back the memories of what we were attempting to do. And I sure hope more organizations are doing that these days.
Thank you for sharing.
Welcome. Other comments or questions for Virginie?
I'd like to share an experience, and it's an experiment you can all do. I was looking for an application for a post, a job at a university. And so I said, okay, I'm going to send a lot of energy of loving kindness to the person who's going to welcome me. And never in my life have I been so welcome in a place. The person it took 1 hour, introduced me to every key player. It was just a wonderful experience. And I did the blessing, the sending of energy for 1 hour. Which is quite a long time. So this could be an idea.
Yes, surely. I believe the same. It's important.
Anyone else? We have time for like one more question or comment. Stacy, you did work similar to this in terms of working with energy and consciousness. Is there anything you would like to either share with Virginie or ask her?
I would just say to really be present with all of it. And it's a lot, but I think there's so much there, and I think be open to what you don't expect. That's where I really found some interesting stuff. And I also want to say that I think this research is very important. That's what really struck me, because the world is so traumatized right now. And so we're seeing that in organizations, we're seeing that in communities. And so I think this work, although you are doing it in an organization, I think it might have application beyond just organizations. So I'm very excited to see what you'll be doing, and feel free to reach out if you'd like support.
Thank you. Yes, it's a huge phenomenon, the trauma today.
Yeah. Thank you. I see Ravi's hand up. Ravi?
I very briefly want to suggest, energy manifests in many, many different realms of existence. I think a good theme from this conference, this two-day conference, is recognizing those realms. They talk about external to internal to eternal, and then coming back from eternal, like a cyclical process, from eternal coming back to external, internal, and then eternal in a continuous ongoing process. So energy levels in those realms of existence, ontological being, could vary where you are in that journey. So recognizing energy as manifest in multiple realms would give rise to some hypothesis, interesting hypothesis for you, I think. Just a wild hypothesis, yeah.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
And thank you, Virginie. Good luck. And there's lots of people here who want to support you. So know that you're being held in some loving energy as you do this work.
Yes, thank you a lot for your feedback and your support. Thank you for this award also.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So who would like to go next?
Maybe I can. Vrinda.
Oh, good. Okay. Vrinda.
So, let me, first of all, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Just give me one moment, please. Thank you for this wonderful honor and opportunity. Very, very grateful to the community for supporting this work. Let me just talk and jump right into my presentation and talk from there. I'm starting out from the words that Judi, you said. It's about meaning. I think the meaning that we all hold in our lives, and do we listen? One, and what Raviji said a little while earlier, do we have a lot of external things going on, but do we listen to our internal things, and do we then match up with the eternal? And that's where this research is going. Sorry about that. Uh, so this research is about how do we find meaning in our lives, and starting out from the words of Viktor Frankl, it is about how do we find that meaning. The motivation of this research starts from what we are all facing today, and that is the external context. The trauma that Virginie just talked about is about how AI is actually disrupting our careers and lives. So this research is about careers and how do we sustain careers in this very, very disruptive environment that we found ourselves in. But unlike Virginie and Gahanna, this research is about the individual, because career research has been talking a lot about context. This research is about career sustainability, and is the idea that one can remain happy, healthy, and productive and live a meaningful life guided by inner values. What Raviji spoke about, the internal part of it. And this work then naturally starts from what Fedu, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, is the role of individual capacity of the individual in. I'm sorry, just is the role of the individual's capacity to approach their career sustainability with a spiritual perspective. And this is the takeoff point for this research. This research then goes on to say that it is the ecosystem that maintains the careers, which is how the individual interacts with the environment that they find themselves in, which is the microsystem, the mesosystem, exo and macro system, which essentially is how we are as individuals impacted by school, home, family, and the workplaces, and how as individuals then we navigate and find meaning in that process. Why are we talking about career sustainability and spirituality? Because our destinations are essentially the same. Raviji spoke about all outcomes a little while earlier. We are looking at the similar things in both these spheres, and therefore the idea of connecting these two bodies of literature to find, sorry. So therefore our research gaps are that today career research overemphasizes external context. It neglects the role of spirituality as a resource for navigating career stress and career shocks. And there is limited understanding of how this spirituality develops and shifts across career stages, across the lifespan of an individual. And there are scholarly calls to develop a spirituality-based career development theory from an ecosystem perspective. Therefore, the research questions that we started out with are two. One, how does spirituality play a role in shaping career sustainability? And how do ecosystem factors shape the cultivation of spirituality as a career resource for enabling career sustainability as across the lifespan? Well, the dissertation was designed in two studies. Study one has already been completed, which was a qualitative study and has been published in European Management Journal in 2026. This study gave us the confirmation that spirituality does play a role during career shocks and is viable as a resource in career sustainability. And that is what led us to designing study two, which is still in the designing phases, and we are starting to collect data around it, which is how does spirituality work across career stages from an ecosystem perspective. And like I explained, this uses the Bronfenbrenner's ecology theory, which is something that I spoke about a little earlier. So what we are trying to do is to, our target respondents are people in various stages of their careers. This is how it looks like. And also looking at returnees with a break of 1+ years. And how do they find meaning in their career is what we are looking out for. So we do have a pre-interview questionnaire where we ask about various data, the careers, the demographics, and also ask about career sustainability, health, happiness, and productivity.
And that's 5 minutes. So finish your thought, but you're at 5 minutes. So
okay, give me
wrap it up.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we will be looking at qualitative interviews, and we have already established that spirituality is a career resource in our contributions. We hope through the second study, we look at how spiritual resources are socially negotiated, which integrates non-Western frameworks and positions spirituality as an ecologically distributed resource through Bronfenbrenner's subsistence. Together, what we are hoping is that this presents a multi-level theory of how spirituality shapes enduring careers. So that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's hand clap, whether it's virtually or by sound. Yes, thank you very much and congratulations. One thing I want to share with you is there's a group called the Conscious Leadership Guild that is primarily US and Europe based. And they have virtual meetings all year round, as well as a couple of conferences. But one of the ongoing topics is conscious leadership and AI. And,
Wow, okay.
and that is open to the public. You do not need to be a member of the Conscious Leadership Guild. And I'm putting it in the chat because that you might want to join one of those conversations. You can find in the calendar when those happen. I forget what day of the week. It's once a month, but it would be wonderful if you could join that and share your research and maybe get some ideas from people there. They might be able to help you.
Thank you, Judy. That's wonderful. That's a beautiful resource.
You're welcome. So we actually have just a couple of more minutes because I want to leave time for Nur Aziz. Any questions or comments for Vrinda? Any ways you might be able to help her?
Well, I'm just thinking that some of the, you're looking at career stages, which are kind of typical career stages. Then you have careers, so those are pretty much, or at least somewhat under your control. Then you have the stuff from AI, which is like totally out of your control. And maybe there's a difference between those two things. And also spiritual development also can change over time. So you might want to look at how those things converge with each other.
Right, Jerry. Thank you. That's a beautiful thought. I will look at it from that perspective.
Thank you, Jerry. Also, I would suggest getting in contact with Yochanan Altman. I don't know if you know him. He's very active and important to MSR. I'm putting his name in the chat. He's the publisher of the Journal of Management, Spirituality, and Religion, but careers is his particular area of focus, spirituality and careers. So he would have lots of resources, I think, to suggest to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Judy. That will be really helpful.
You're welcome. All right. I think we should wrap up. Any last thing you would like to say, Vrinda? And then I'll turn it over to Aziz.
No, I think I just want to be, it's a lot of gratitude because last year some of our work won the best paper. So I think I've got a lot of support in this clearing. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. We're proud of you. Congratulations again. Thank you. All right. And I don't know if it's Nur Aziz or Aziz Nur, which is the correct way to say your name?
My first name is Noor.
Nur. Okay. Thank you. So we'd love to hear from you about your research.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Noor Aziz. I am a doctoral student at Columbia in New York. I'm so grateful for this opportunity and this award that someone brought to my attention, and I just applied very last minute. And like you said, Judy, it really feels like a validation for us early scholars who are just not so sure about our dissertation. And I'm feeling very grateful and thank you all in the committee. So my proposal is about relational pathways to ego transcendence, specifically focused on spiritually grounded developmental networks and how they play a role to support post-conventional development or post-conventional consciousness. And my group is of entrepreneurs, specifically social entrepreneurs. I know it's a mouthful, so I just shorten it to focus on relational pathways to ego transcendence. So the theory builds from developmental networks, a concept that was first recognized by Higgins and Cram in 2001, which basically says that this is a constellation of mentors, co-workers, family, friends, spouses, basically the people around a person. So this builds on Bronfenbrenner's ecological theory. So the people around an individual that become sort of a personal board of advisors. However, the gap that happens with this literature is that it remains very career-centric. It's oriented towards, salary increases, promotions, a lot just revolving around professional identity, and it doesn't capture the individual as a whole. And so I like to say this pitch when people say, like, what's your elevator pitch for your dissertation? I would say a lot of people know that it takes a village to raise a child, but not a lot of people know that it takes a village to raise an adult. And that idea comes from that adults have to hit milestones as well. So everyone knows children, child development theory, children hit milestones, but adult hit milestones too. And there are many adult development theories, but two that I'm going to focus on today is Robert Kegan's theory of orders of consciousness. And so that is depicted in this chart by the numbers you see. So he goes from 1 to 5. And then Susan Cook-Reuter, who's a student of Robert Kegan, this is at Harvard University, and she builds on his theory and expands the milestones to more post-conventional and transcendental stages. So you see now there's the 6th order of consciousness, which are labeled unitive or transcendent. And her theory is called ego development theory. And typically ego has a negative connotation, but in this case, it emphasizes a neutral word. And so when people think ego development, it's like, do we need more egoistical people? But it's the idea of that the ego, and this is developmental psychology, develops throughout the human lifespan. And so interestingly enough, I can talk all day about adult development theory. This is my love. Individuals actually hit milestones when sometimes they hit crisis, because when they hit crisis, their meaning-making shifts. So the assumptions that they had prior are surfaced and potentially overturned. And so then the whole world looks differently, right? And so sometimes crisis helps with that, not necessarily only crisis, but sometimes, your developmental networks can share, confirming responses or contradictory responses that help you mature. What's interesting here is that the majority of adults are in the middle section. You see the conventional section, 3 and 4s. Some move forward to the post-conventional, and very few, the study showed less than 1% actually go towards ego transcendence, are capable of sort of the unitive stage where it's interdisciplinary. There's a sense of everyone in the world is interconnected, and compassion. These are some terms that typically connect with the higher orders of consciousness. So my research questions connecting these two theories, developmental networks and post-conventional ego transcending stages. The first is the relationship quality of the individuals or the network in the network. So what qualities of developmental relationships support this transition? Could it be the duration, the proximity, physical proximity? Could it be, attributes and personality or temperaments? So that's one question. The relationship content focuses on the individuals themselves. Are these individuals, one of the interesting things that's in the literature is that in mentoring relationships, they have found that some of the most incredible mentors are those who are further along the consciousness, capacity, then mentoring those who are less, because in other words, they're like Sherpas. They've experienced, they've gone and done it, and so then they can guide those of lower consciousness. They can ask them questions that can really change, the way they see things, and so that could be the content. Finally, what roles does spirituality and religion play in shaping these relationships?
And
So
we're at
research.
that's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Keep going.
So research has shown that across traditions and religions, there's significant evidence that shows that ego transcendence connect with better leaders, better parents, better individuals around so many different scales, in well-being, in capacity to think with complexity, paradox thinking. And so the idea is that further along is better, but that doesn't necessarily make it easy. So people can be, further along in consciousness, and that makes their lives much more difficult because then there's a lot more to deal with. Just a quick slide on methodology. I'll be doing phenomenological studies focused on 65 to 85-year-olds so that then we can collect their lived experiences, their meaning making, and what they feel their developmental networks in the past have really been instrumental to developing them to where they are now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nur. And I'm thinking the Flamekeeper group in the Academy of Management, the MSR Flamekeeper group, which I founded maybe 10 years ago, is for those of us who are elders in MSR. Some of us are in our 60s, 70s, and 80s. So maybe we should invite you to come visit the group and see if you can get some participants for your research. Or you may already have enough. I don't know. Where are you with
No,
that?
I'm still at the early stages, so I would love the opportunity. Thank you so much, Judi.
Yeah, just email me and remind me that I invited you because I might forget. Okay, wonderful. Let's open it up to other people. We have just 2 or 3 more minutes and then we're going to wrap up.
Well, so Noor, if what you're saying is, if you look at how few people are in the post, the top group, where are you going to find these mentors? I mean, how does the average person find somebody that's reached that higher group?
That's one of the key questions. So one of the things about, so we're not recruiting from if we find someone, that would be great in the 1%, right? The ego transcendence, but we're actually looking at the stage
1%.
right before, right
Okay.
before that. I can pull out my, but the
But
stage
even at
before.
that stage, there's not that many.
Yeah, there are not that many, and that's definitely it. There is a significant research that shows that individuals of higher order of consciousness are also those who do more service. And so the lead up to social entrepreneurs and those who have done it for a while is a smaller subset. So 2 places that we're looking at right now is Ashoka Fellows, if you're familiar with the Ashoka Fellowship of Social Entrepreneurs. And I used to work at Ashoka, so it has a little bit of access, but also we may not find enough individuals because there will be an assessment. And and I'm not sure if I'm going to do a grounded theory methodology as well, that we'll try this out and see, through our interviews and conversations, will they actually match up to some of the assessments? There's a subject-object interview, there's the sentence completion assessment as well that can show where they're at, and see if we can get enough people in 4s or 5s, not necessarily 6, so 4 and 5s, that can help us with our study.
Thank you. Konstantin has his hand up. Konstantin, thank you for
Yeah.
being here. I know it's late at night.
Oh no, it's very early in the morning. It's 5. I don't want to traumatize anyone, so I leave my camera off.
You've been in this colloquium forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's worth it. And also this session in particular. So Noor, congratulations to the award, and also congratulations to accomplishing the most difficult part of your journey, I think, which is finding an interesting and relevant topic for your research. Just a brief note on your research question, because I've noticed that with all 3, you formulated them as what questions. So a what question will lead you to description. You may want to try to reformulate these questions as either to what extent or as why questions, because then they will also force you to explain, and this is what you really want to do.
Thank
So
you.
not
I
just
will
the
definitely factor that in.
thing.
Yeah, why question is the meat, right, Constantine? So thank you for that feedback.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are now at the top of the hour. So, Nur, I'm sorry that we didn't get more discussion going, but you can see there's some energy for your topic. And please save the chat, because all of you that are interested in having follow-up, because people are volunteering to help various folks. So Stacy said she's can help you with recruiting, and so save the chat and be in touch with people who've offered help. This is a community that loves to help our students and doctoral students and new people that are new to the field. It's a very nurturing community. So we're very proud of our 4 recipients. We also feel really good about the others who applied. It's just there's only so much money to go around, and we had to make some distinctions. Everyone is doing such good work, and it gives me a great deal of hope for the future of our field with this quality of research that you're doing, and the deep questions you're asking, and the creative methodologies that you're undertaking. So congratulations to all our recipients, and thank you all for being a part of this session and contributing in whatever way felt right to you. It's all so welcome, and we just love you and really glad you're here. So thank you. And I think Stacy might want to say about what's coming next.
Yes, thank you, Judy, and thank you for those wonderful presentations from all 4 of you. I don't know about everybody else, but I love hearing about research topics, and it gets me excited and hopeful for the future. So thank you so much for what you're doing in the world, and congratulations on this award. What's coming next? Not a whole bunch, because we're towards the end of the research colloquium, but in 1 hour, we're going to take an hour break, and then we've got a session on reimagining the university in the age of AI. That sounds fascinating. After that, we're going to have Chris Laszlo and Qianwan Yu talk about researching the mystical. And then our closing plenary is happening, and we hope many of you will come and be with us for the closing plenary. So we thank you so much for being here. We're going to be moving you. You are welcome to stay for an hour for the hour break, but we're going to move you into a waiting room for that. And we hope to see you in one of the last 3 sessions. Thanks again for coming.